We're here in Vancouver at VRIC 2019, and joining me now is Janet Lee Sheriff of
Golden Predator Mining Corp.
And you trade on what exchange?
TSXV, GPY.
That's your trading symbol?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Tell me about the company.
We're in the Yukon. We have two main assets, Three Aces project in the southeast Yukon and the Brewery Creek project near Dawson, both road accessible, extremely important to the company to have road accessible projects. Both gold, and we also have a pilot processing plant that is in Watson Lake, Yukon, that we use to process our own bulk sample. And we have a wholly owned subsidiary called the Yukon Mint, a registered trademark in the United States, and we make gold coins.
So you're already making gold coins.
Yeah.
Tell me about Yukon gold. I mean, we can go back in history and go, wow, the gold rush going to the Yukon, Alaska, and so on. How rich are the deposits that are there when it comes to gold and that is still in the ground in the Yukon?
I don't think anybody knows the true extent. There's so many discoveries going on right now in the Yukon, not just in our area and our project, but in the white gold area. We're down in the southeast Yukon with Three Aces. We're at Brewery Creek's above, it's north of white gold, but I think the Yukon's potential is completely untapped, and it's for many years you could only operate seasonally. We don't operate seasonally. We're year-round. We have roads. We have infrastructure in place. But until the 60s or 70s, everything was helicopter. So it's 40, 50 years behind. And I think the next few decades are going to be really game changers for the Yukon.
Let's talk about Three Aces. Tell me about that project.
Three Aces is in the southeast Yukon. High-grade gold, originally discovered gold at surface, ran 4,000 grams per ton. It's a big project, 357 square kilometers. It's complex. We have drilled about 300 holes. We just put out news recently that we feel we understand the project and why we're getting high-grade outcrops at surface and the model that is in place. Everything's on the website. There's maps that show what we have projected and conceptualized moving forward. But there's something that looks like it's deep, and we have found a number of feeder structures that come off of two parallel structures that are showing continuity at depth. We just had 500-meter down dip and 200-meter step out. So it's running over a 4.5 kilometer trend at this point that we see as mineralized, and it's pushing through any type of rock out there. We are also doing a bulk sample. We have a 10,000 ton a year permit. We have completed the blasting, and we're pushing it through our own pilot plant that I talked about earlier. Mm-hmm. And that is teaching us so much about the project. We did 5-meter spacing drilling in order to do grade reconciliation. So we came in and we bulk sampled that. But on 5-meter spacing, we're missing veins. We just keep finding them. And it's just the kind of project you really need to do bulk sampling on to get a better handle on it. So we're quite excited. The plant wrapped up in November for a few months. It'll be starting up next month. Mm-hmm. And so we'll be reporting on the reconciliation from the plant. I'm quite excited about all of this.
And when might we expect to hear some news?
Well, news just came out today, and we'll also be putting out news regularly on the bulk sample.
Okay, give me today's news. We're here.
Today's news was the the down dip. It was Deep Hearts drilling, the deepest drilling to date on the project, and that was the 500-meter down dip extension from the outcrop. Mm-hmm. So it was 7 holes, and we tested out a model, and we're happy with what we see there. And I think it's really something that is going to be able to allow us to have more efficient drilling, and probably less of it this year, but a lot more effective.
So you're not an exploration company, you're actually an operational company.
No, we're exploration.
You are, but you're already making gold coins.
I know.
From your own product.
Yes, we bulk sample, and bulk sampling is actually a very underutilized exploration tool in Canada. We do it because of the type of project Three Aces is. We are very fortunate to have excellent metallurgy. We get 87% recovery at our plant without the use of chemicals. water and gravity only, no discharge to system. So we get this green gold, so that's why we formed the Mint, so we could have a product at the end of it. It involves the community. We work with Casca artists. We have their designs on the coins. And it's just something that allows us to be different than other juniors, that we have this ability. And we could have done what a lot of people do and send their bulk samples out of country, US or China. It was important to us to do it locally, keep the knowledge local, retain the knowledge ourselves, and also put economic benefits right into the community.
So besides making gold coins, where else are you on the exploration front? And what shall we be looking at to come out of your newsfeed in 2019?
Well, the two projects, Brewery Creek, we did some metallurgical drilling last year, and that is what we're using to look at enhancing the economics of the already positive PEA. The one issue that I would say there exists with Brewery Creek is the internal rate of return is not high enough to warrant writing a check to put it into production.
How come?
It's 19%. And people aren't going to write a check. 30 to 40% they'll write a check. We see a number of ways to improve the economics while we're also doing some exploration. We found some new areas this year with some of our drilling. 3 more targets that we'll test at the end of this winter. And I think looking at different types of leaching options for the project will enhance the economics. So we'll get through an updated PEA, look towards finding a joint venture partner with deeper pockets than we have. 75 million capex to get it into production. There's over 1 gram per ton, 850,000 ounces with lots of potential and unexplored territory, a large project. We think it's ideally suited for a mid-tier type of company.
So what are your next steps right at this point?
At Brewery Creek, it'll be getting waiting to see the metallurgical results that are coming back in the next 30 to 60 days.
Okay, so that news is coming soon.
Yeah, moving into the PEA and looking at how to go through the permitting process in an effective manner. We have an existing quartz mining license. It was issued under SIA, and we have a water license, and it's in temporary closure, but the pits are there, the infrastructure's there, which is why it has such low capex to get back into production.
So depending on the results, are you hoping to joint venture, or what's the plan?
We'd like to stay part of the project. We'd like to have a joint venture partner come in. We think that we add a lot of value with our community relations. I've lived and worked in the Yukon. I'm not there now, but 30 years I've been working there, 30 years working with the First Nation communities, and I think we bring a lot of very progressive, proactive approaches to involving the community and making sure that they're benefiting. If they're not coming along with you and benefiting, I'm not really sure why they'd want you there.
From a societal perspective, I go, okay, well, that's great, and I want to support that. From an investor's perspective, why would I want to support those strong community relationships?
I think investors' risk is better managed by having good community relations. You de-risk the project by engaging early and often. And often what happens is exploration budgets are really tight. You put all the money possible into the ground. The project goes to somebody that's going to go put it through development and production, and you run into community challenges. And it's usually a lack of communication and a lack of education. So our philosophy is you engage early, you do as much education and awareness and understanding both ways as possible, and deal with the issues up front before it's too far along and people say they don't know what's going on. They want contracts, they want jobs, they want to take care of the land. We at 3 Aces this year ran an innovative program called an Elders in Residence program. We actually had the elders live with us all season at camp.
First Nations elders?
From 2 different communities. We had them rotate each week, so we had about 80 elders through the whole program. And it was an open door approach to everything. It was all, it changed our relationship dramatically.
Well, if we look post the Silcotin decision, which came down in 2015, where Justice McLaughlin said you need to have not just cooperation and consultation, but you actually have to have consent from First Nations if you wanted to develop resources. in this country, I think that it is fundamentally important that you have strong First Nations relationships. And so clearly, you are moving in the right direction to ensure that you are keeping First Nations communities actively involved in your development.
Oh, very much. Not only from traditional knowledge and communication, but making sure contracts are there. With the Elders in Residence program, we saw our labor retention go to 90%. And that wasn't just with the Casca citizens, that was with non-Casca and non-Yukoners. And it really, I think, humanized the project. It just changed all the dynamics. So there was value to the company because there was a cost, but there was still a cost savings from the labor. And we just really feel that it's a good beginning. It's not the end. We keep going. There's a political process to deal with the leadership, and you have to go through that. But it's really important that the community know you.
Well, yes, and there's Bill Gallagher in his book Resource Rulers. It points out that First Nations are winning in the courts, and you've protected yourself against that by reducing the risk profile of anybody who wants to get in and support your company.
Exactly.
Looks like you've got a good year ahead of you, but we'll be watching for news. Thank you for coming in and sharing this with us.
Thank you.